It's 8:53. It was 60 years ago this week that Prime Minister's Questions began as a weekly carnival of democracy. In many ways, it hasn't changed at all.
Order! Can't have two right honourable gentlemen on their feet at the same time. Who's giving way to who? Not yet.
Oh, the right honourable gentleman's afraid of an election, is he? Afraid!
The first question to a great new Prime Minister, sir.
Sit down, please.
This approach is stuck in the past, and I want to talk about the future. He was the future once.
The first point of recapitalisation was to save banks that would otherwise have collapsed. And we not only saved the world, saved the banks and saved...
We know how it works. He takes one brief 1 week, one brief the next. He's consistent only in his opportunism, whereas we get on with our agenda.
Order! Difference of opinion is of the essence of politics.
Oh dear. PMQs might be a massive turn-off to some, not in this studio I think, but at its core is the principle that those with power should be held to account for how they use or abuse that power. That's pretty cool, and you might miss it if it was gone. Matthew Parris is here, the former Conservative MP and columnist for The Times. I say he's here, he's on the line. And Aisha Hazarika, who helped Ed Miliband prepare for Prime Minister's Questions for 5 years and co-wrote a book on PMQs called Punch and Judy Politics, also joins us. Morning to you both.
Morning.
Aisha,
Morning.
You used to prepare or help Ed Miliband prepare. What did success look like to you guys? What did you set out to achieve?
I mean, I think success looked like you wanted to have, a decent set of questions. It was your opportunity to get a little bit of cut through because actually, as leader of the opposition, it is really, really hard to sort of stay relevant. It was to get a couple of good lines running on the broadcast bulletins. But I think the other thing that people don't realise about PMQs is it's really important for party morale. If you are having a bit of a tough time with your leadership, but you can get your side cheering, it buys you more time. It buys you respect from your troops. And I think it has a kind of long-term strategic purpose. They say you don't win or lose elections on PMQs, but somebody who is consistently bad at PMQs, it's very rare that they either stay very long as leader of their party or it's very rare that they become Prime Minister.
Indeed. So, Matthew, there are these very different audiences, aren't there? The benches behind them, the people at home and the headline writers for the evening news, as Aisha says.
Yeah, I think the only audience that really matters, as indeed for the Today programme, are the ratings, the public. The public used to watch PMQs, listen to it quite a lot. I think rather less so now. It's not going through a very good period. But if the public listen to and watch PMQs, then it's achieving its purpose. It's a sort of pantomime of politics for a wider audience and brings to an audience that don't take much interest in politics a little bit of drama once a week, if it works. But the problem really is you only learn from PMQs how good a Prime Minister is at PMQs, and you only learn how good a leader of the opposition is at PMQs. We all know from our own experience that some people who are very good at their jobs are not very good when other people throw coconuts at them, and some people who are brilliant at dealing with flying coconuts are no good at anything else. So
but there is
I do think we can exaggerate.
Sorry to interrupt. There is a very important further audience, though, isn't there, Matthew, which is parliamentary sketch writers. One function of PMQs is to keep them in gainful employment.
Oh, absolutely, yes. And I was for 13 years a parliamentary sketch writer, and so I would add to what Hazarika says, I would add that the main function for a leader of the opposition is to try to humiliate the Prime Minister. And if you've humiliated the Prime Minister, so much the better. The problem with Boris Johnson is he won't be humiliated. He isn't very good at Prime Minister's questions, but you can see that he doesn't care whether he's very good or not.
And Aisha, so it's Wednesday lunchtime these days. It's just one, used to be two 15-minute sessions. And that Wednesday lunchtime preparation for it began on Monday morning, presumably.
Well, yeah, I mean, to be honest, preparation would really begin sort of after the aftermath of the PMQs the week before. It is definitely the most sort of traumatic part of the week for a leader and his team or her team. And, you know, they will spend a lot of time starting to think about it over the weekend when the Sunday papers drop. And there'll be two types of thinking. There'll be like, okay, is there a proactive policy thing that we want to push, or is there a big gaffe that we want to try and expose the government on? But I just want to pick up on one thing. I do think there is still, I do accept Matthew's point, PMQs has definitely been going downhill for a while, but it did used to provide, quite important strategic impact. You could use it to sort of frame quite a powerful narrative against your opponent, even in opposition. Look at Tony Blair, 1995, his big, line against Major was, there's a big difference between us. I lead my party, he follows his. Then weak. People remember those lines because they helped frame that critical narrative. So I think if you can do that successfully, it can be quite powerful. It's a good way of testing messages that may then end up, being messages you use in the short election campaign.
I seem to remember a line about an end to Punch and Judy politics, which I think has got no sign whatsoever of coming. But we've come to an end to the Today programme, which saw no Punch and Judy politics whatsoever, I can assure you.